Rich Schiffauer. I was an E4 or senior airman, United States Air Force. I was an aircraft hydraulic mechanic. We fixed things that made the wings go up and down, the landing gear, brakes, the hydraulic, so I was a hydraulic mechanic. I joined 16 September 1974. A couple of things. I mean, military service has been in my family. I'm not so much sure it was a question if I was going to join. I was which branch. My my uncles were both in the Pacific and Europe during World War II. My cousin was in Vietnam in '65. My dad was in Korea. So interesting was my cousin and I were going to join the Marine Corps together from the time we were kids. And then when we got into high school, he joined the Navy and I joined the Air Force. But I've always believed in serving the country. I left in '78. You do four-year tours in the Air Force, and it was an interesting transition. I was a little lost for a while. One of the things I really missed was that when you're in the service, you have this camaraderie. I've got two brothers who are a year younger. Well, there's three of us. I'm the oldest, and each of us were separated by a year. But I was probably closer to the guys. I'm close to my brothers, but I was closer to the guys I served with. You, in that sense that you watch each other's back, and then when you come to the civilian world, it's not quite that same way. And that was a little bit difficult. And I went right to a college campus. Literally one day I was on the flight line, the next day I was in a college campus, and back during the Vietnam era or post-Vietnam era, it wasn't a real veteran-friendly environment. Well, a couple. In terms of the service itself, I think a couple things. One is again, I'm Vietnam era, the tail end of Vietnam. But being on the flight line, I remember we were in Germany on temporary duty, and just talking with the guys who had been to Vietnam, and this was like for some of them 10 years or more since they've been over there, and just listening to them and some of the pain and some of the pride that they carried with them after all those years. That's one memory. Another memory is the pride that you had in knowing that, here I was 18 years old and being entrusted with multi-million-dollar aircraft and literally having pilots' lives in my hands and them counting on me. And then the final memory is when we were doing our tech training, we were in Illinois, Chanute Air Force Base, and Chanute's between Rantoul and Champaign's a college town, and walking through the campus and a group of us, and back then we stood out pretty easily because folks tended to have longer hair, and ours was pretty short, and getting spit on by some of the students, so that one stood out too. I think the pride of serving my country, serving something that was bigger than I am. Like I said earlier, it was never a question if I was going to serve. It was which branch, and just feeling like everybody has a response. That I feel like we're all one community. Our country's one community, and we're dependent on each other and interdependent on each other, and that it was important that I serve my country and serve, my fellow citizens, and I took a lot of pride, and I took a lot of pride in when we got an aircraft fixed, or got the crew back up in the air. That was just such a good feeling, and again, knowing that they were they were entrusting their lives with us, and and how important that was, and how important it was to make sure that they got back to the home base safely. It's funny because we were in an all-staff meeting the other day in my office, and people were just whining about the dumbest things. And I said to some of my colleagues afterwards that I really felt that everybody in the United States, when they get to be 18, it should be mandated they either do some kind of community service, whether it be VISTA, Peace Corps, or the military. And one of the reasons for that is because I think the military taught me that don't sweat the small stuff, to kind of put up with difficult circumstances and persevere through it, to count on your teammates, count on yourself, watch each other's backs. Those are lessons that I've carried in my workplace, in my career. Being able to improvise, being able to think on my feet, not panicking when things aren't going the right way. Trying to just, like I said, persevere and hang in there, and work the problems through. I think the one thing that it's an honor, all of us. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would serve all over again. That it's an honor to serve your country, and that no matter how you feel about a war, that you still support the folks that are serving. And again, I was Vietnam era. We had orders to go to Vietnam. Our orders were rescinded, so I never actually went to combat, though I would have, done that totally, happily have done that. And so I think one of the things I really want folks to know is, a lot of times when you talk to people that you're a veteran and that you weren't in combat, it's kind of like, oh, well, you didn't really do anything. And I think it's important for people to respect all veterans. It's certainly important to respect combat veterans, but it's equally important to respect non-combat veterans as well, because they serve their country too.